Well, I'm Mike Sexton. I'm the Awana missionary in the Sacramento Valley North Bay area of Northern California. And I've been serving as an Awana missionary for 26 years and been involved in Awana over 40 years.
Awesome. And my name is Tnt Sandval. I'm the Awana missionary here in Southern California. Haven't been a missionary as long as Mike. I've been for about 7 years now, although I started when I was 8. So I've been around Awana for a little while. So and I love it. It's a great gig. We are blessed to work in such an awesome ministry.
Okay, so this particular drawing is kind of was developed earlier this summer, and it's really a reflection of what we're doing to equip our local churches. Right now we're in this time of year, the summertime, where we're doing connection meetings and we're talking to our local churches, and that's what you're a part of tonight, is connecting through the Awana Connect. And then here, coming into just last week, we started our Awana Ministry Conference season, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more tonight. And it's an opportunity to gather with the tribe of Awana leaders and to share and to be equipped and to be encouraged in your discipleship of children. And then after the first of the year, we'll be doing Awana Clubs Recharge. It'll be just kind of that time of, reboot after the holidays, and everybody kind of needs that little bit of a recharge. And then in the spring we'll have Awana Club Celebrate, and it's really about looking at award celebrations, looking at evaluating your clubs and different things like that, so that as you think about moving into fall, it kind of gives you a framework to think about in that way. So, and then recently, one of those, and then around the center is Awana Basics, and we have some exciting news to share with you about Awana Basics a little bit later on too. Earlier this, like I think it was in May, we had an online event about Back to Club. And in that Back to Club event, we had a tool that we made available called the Back to Club Guide. And it has some tips on how to help you prepare for this coming fall. Some of it was about club evaluation. Some of it was about leader recruitment and those types of things. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later tonight. But again, it was a tool to help you think about the things that you did, the things that you maybe want to do. And so it's again, just a great tool to evaluate. And so what we thought we'd do is take a little bit of time here and maybe do some evaluation. And so this is the time we're going to look at maybe breaking you up into some breakout rooms. There'll be about 4 people per breakout room is what we're shooting for. A couple things, you're going to have about 6 minutes to discuss these 2 questions that are on the screen, and then pick a spokesperson who will then we'll call on some of the rooms. So you'll want to note your room number. Okay, so would somebody in breakout room want to share something that you guys talked about, if maybe one of the questions that you focused on, or somebody from the spokesperson for breakout room number 1?
Ted talked about the ratios being the same, that they didn't let up last year. Everything was the same. Everything was on go. No real change whatsoever. He's in San Diego. Wear a mask, great. You don't want to wear a mask, great. After 1.5 years now, he says most everybody knows what the risks are. And so it's literally a come to club, and there you go. Mm-hmm. Ying was online when COVID hit last year. They did online, but they're hoping in September to start back full activities. There was a time when they had 20 students. Now they're at about 5 to 8. Mm-hmm. And Grace Church was years past. They used to do a kickoff like a community fair. and they got away from it. And then COVID hit, so they stayed away from it, but they're hoping to reenact that.
Okay.
And the one thing that really kind of hurt was, they expect little from the parents. So they don't expect much, they expect little. So there was not much parental involvement in any of the churches there, but they're working on ways to try to get them involved. One of them was they had to volunteer. It was Grace Church. Parents had to volunteer 2-3 times a year.
Okay, thank you.
They do it at school, so.
Okay, they do it at a school. Okay. How about breakout room number 2? Who's the spokesperson for breakout room number 2?
I think that was us.
Okay.
We had California, Lincoln, Nebraska, and New Jersey. So all over the country with varied impacts of COVID for sure.
Mhm.
So definitely volunteer dropout because of COVID. Many are not returning. Many chose not to come back. A change that Sandy from Nebraska, last year they were able to meet in person with masks and in social distancing, and they had combined their Sparks and TNT together for their large group time, and they were a smaller group, but they're going to continue that. They're going to keep them together. She has 2 dynamic teachers, and so they're able to capture the wide range of ages with that. And this also helps them to have a little bit longer small group time and to really key in on discipleship, more than just scripture memory, but really digging to belong, really concentrating on the kids belonging, feeling like we know them. And the parent thing, that's a real challenge. I don't know if that's going to come up on everything, but Gary's church out in New Jersey, the parents dropped the kids off. They never really had any interaction with the parents. So that's been a hard thing to try and really get back to that. So.
Okay, thank you. How about breakout room number 3?
Well, that went really fast, but what we did talk about, actually at the very end, Greta was sharing about how her parents in her club are very involved and how rarely the kids come not prepared. And that's just something that they encourage, and they've got really great participation. And she said by the time they're in TNT, they're trained and understand what they need to do before they come, and it's been working really well. So as far as the pre-COVID traditions, it sounded like Kim was doing some large group videos for his group. I know for our church, we created our own website and did our own green screen cubby videos. We used the TNT videos that were provided, and we created our own Sparks videos, but it worked really well for us. We had 56 kids that participated every week, and now we just opened up registration for this year. And one thing that we're going to do different, because we typically would get a large amount of kids in a very small room, plus all of the adults. So we're going to break up our, for Sparks, we're going to break up our handbook and large group time. So half the kids will go to large group and half of them will do handbook time. And then we're going to flip, and the other half will go to handbook large group, and then the other half will go to handbook time. And then they'll all play games together because we have a pretty big room that we can do the games in. But that's one thing that will change for us because we'll be meeting in person. So.
Okay, cool. How about, so we're on 4, right? Breakout room number 4?
We have the quiet introverted group and all in one place, but Elena and I kind of took over a little bit, and I apologize for that if that was not cool. But Elena's got a great story to tell about her church. I'm with Ted Udan in San Diego, and last year we did it online, and this year we're planning on rolling it out like last year didn't happen. We're going to keep all of our themes and all of our participations to bring the parents in, and And we're just looking forward to this year. Last year was it was our quiet Awana year. This year's not going to be so quiet.
That's a good thing, right?
Right. It's an excellent thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
then-
think, okay, go ahead, Joy.
No, that's all right. We briefly talked about parent participation, and that's always a challenge, I think, for us too. We have some parents, of course, that volunteer as leaders, and then we have the other parents that drop their kids off. So we are working on a strategy to just kind of get them involved in, first night of club. They're gonna join their kids for the first night of club so they can see what happens, and hopefully just keep engaging them like that.
Yeah, I think the pandemic was probably when we look at parent engagement, I think that was probably the thing that got revealed the most, is really how many of our parents weren't engaged with their kids in discipleship. And I think that's been reflected in the numbers of kids in our clubs in a lot of cases. And so it was, which is in some ways is kind of surprising, because some of their other activities were limited. You would think that we might have had a greater number involved, but that wasn't necessarily the case. So, well, I'm going to turn it over to Tim, and he's going to share his screen again, and he's going to talk about Resilient and the Child Discipleship Forum and so on. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So I get to talk about Resilient. Hopefully you guys have at least heard this word somewhere, and have seen, you guys have probably seen some emails coming out. But interestingly enough, as we did these Awana Connects in person, I had a number of people go, nope, never heard of it. So I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it. If you have not heard, if you have, well, bear with me. So we are super excited about this, and I'll tell you a little bit where Resilient came from and how it kind of came about. Resilient was started as kind of a movement, a conversation. We just, quite honestly, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to Big C Church to say, you know what, we're talking about child discipleship, and if we're honest in children's ministry, we just aren't really doing that great of a job. And quite honestly, this was at our own admission. We actually okay, so I'm going to say we a lot. I had nothing to do with most of it. So people much smarter than me did this research. So, and in the book, we talk about this. Once again, Tim had nothing to do with the book either. So, but in the book, they talk about the research that was done, and they actually asked churches about different things. And some of the items, or each of the items was asked, how important is this, and how good are we at it? And interestingly enough, there was only one item that was viewed lower, but we were really, really good at it. Okay. And if we had more time, I'd let you guys guess. If you could think about it for a second, you probably would get it. Ultimately, we're really good at having fun. All right, which that's good. We're in children's ministry. We should have fun. But we also, in that importance thing, we also admitted that, okay, that's not the most important thing in our children's ministry. Every other item that we asked about had a higher importance, but a lower how good we're doing at it. And so this book is written to say, hey, let's get better. Okay, because here's the thing, your kids, the kids that you have in your programs right now, are the future leaders of the 2050 church. Usually when I say that, some people are like, oh, that's all right. Others that have the turkey kids are like, oh, mercy. And they get a little bit nervous knowing the kids that they have in their program. So, but what that is, that's a charge to us. That's a challenge to us to say, hey, let's do this thing better. Let's take hold of this thing and really create resilient disciples. So that's where the resilient idea came from, was to create resilient disciples. And we define resilient disciples as those kids that are able to bend without breaking. All right. And specifically, that's having spine and heart. Spine to stand up for what they believe, but the heart to love others that don't agree. And so that's where this book came from. Now, the book was just the beginning. The book was really just a way to get the message out there. Now, you all are Awana people. When you read this, and if you have not read it yet, you should. But when you read this, you're going to read it and go, "Well, yeah, duh, that's what we've been doing." And so it's going to encourage you. But more than anything, like I said, we're really looking to expand this conversation outside of the Awana realm. We want to go to the church and say, we want to do better, whether or not you choose to use Awana or not. Let's do better. And so that's where all of this came from. So you'll notice a bunch of different things on here. The book was just the start. It's a really easy read. You're going to see, we've already highlighted it for you. If you don't like to read, just skim through it. You'll find the highlighted spots. And but all joking aside, it's a really good book. I would suggest getting a copy for your pastor. And now you have to read it first, because if you have a discussion, you want to know what you're actually going to discuss with them. But when you give that to them, then challenge them and have a conversation that just says, is this what our children's ministry looks like? And is this our vision for what children's ministry is? And you can start a great conversation around that, that will benefit your ministry ultimately going forward. So if you're not a reader, guess what? We have a podcast, and it's fantastic. Ross Cochran is our podcast guru, and he does just a fantastic job. If you're not a podcast listener, this would be a great one to start with. Ross gets to interview some fantastic children ministry leaders, discipleship focused people. It's just, he gets to interview a lot of people, and we're on season 3 now. So you should definitely check this one out if you're a podcast listener. And like I said, even if you're not, grab it and listen to it. It's really, really good. So here's the next announcement. So here's what we've done. So we started with the book, which, by the way, was launched right at the beginning of COVID. Perfect timing. We transitioned to added the podcast. And here's the thing, people loved it. We saw people both within Awana churches as well as outside of Awana churches that just took it and they were like, man, yes, this is what we want. But what's next? What do we do now? And so we decided, you know what, we're gonna get everybody together, and let's just talk about this thing. What can we do for child discipleship to raise that level? And so the Child Discipleship Forum is the kind of the next step. And it's, you'll notice a couple of things. September 16th, 17th, that is coming really, really soon. So less than a month away, we will be meeting in Nashville, but also online. So if you're in the Nashville area, great. If you're not, you can still come join those of us that are going. It's going to be a great conference. So I think we have a video next. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to show this video for you guys. So watch this video.
Our kids don't need another message to be good in the midst of a world as broken and the brokenness to which they're exposed. They need the gospel, and they need a spiritual foundation.
Some people are more comfortable with old problems than new solutions. Some people are more comfortable saying to a generation, you can just die without God.
Children are the littlest and the least, and then they become the lost. They're voiceless. And because they are voiceless, it's easy to overlook them.
The world sees our children as people to be molded into their image.
They want something that's real. They want something that they can believe in. They're capable of a lot more than oftentimes we as church leaders kind of think they can handle.
They have all the potential in the world, because I know if I can help them imagine that future, that's the first step to them walking into it.
It's been said, in every childhood, there is one moment when the door opens and lets the future in.
I tried to sneak it in there again. All right, so that is the CDF. There's a couple of screenshots of some of the speakers. We got 12 just awesome speakers, and you are going to be blessed. I assure you, if you register for this. So we have both individual as well as group registrations. There is a cutoff coming a week from tonight, as a matter of fact, is the cutoff of the next price. So if this resonates with you, and if you want to bring this to your church, bring this to your pastor, you got a week to do it for the discounted price. After next Thursday, the price goes up pretty significantly. So you'll want to take advantage of that before next Thursday if you can. I assure you, you'll be blessed. There is, if you do register, you'll actually have access to the recordings. All of the speakers will be recorded. You'll have access for up to 30 days afterwards. So even if you're not able to attend, you can register. You'll get all the recordings. Another benefit to that is if you see something, how many times do you watch a conference and you're like, oh, I wish so-and-so could see this. Now you'll have that video, you can take it to them and show it to them. And it's just gonna, once again, elevate the discipleship in our churches. So super excited about this event. So Mike, I think you get to talk to us about other events though.
Yep. We are just a little over a week away from our first virtual Awana Ministry Conference for this season. Those of you who were around last year, we moved from in-person AMCs to 11 virtual conferences. And this year we have pared it down to 3 because we're also doing some live ones, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But on August 28th, that one will start at 7 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to give them the Pacific times because I know those times. September 25th is a 6 a.m. Pacific time, and then October 23rd is a 9 a.m. Pacific time. And so you can register at events.awana.org. The price is $15 per person, $95 for a team. And we just have a great line. Matt Markins is going to be a part of it. Valerie is going to be a part of it. We have a 3 breakout session from Michaela White from INCM. Josh Denhart's back and teaching his leader training, recruitment, retention workshops. And so we actually have about 25 breakouts that will be similar between each of the 3 conferences, and then 20 that will be unique to each of them. We will also have 6 breakouts for our Latino churches too. And so we're really excited about the VAMC. Mike Handler is our keynote speaker, and we just encourage you to come whichever date fits your schedule. We are also looking at providing a discount if you want to go to multiple VAMCs. So if you go to the first one, you'll hear about the discount for the second one, and so on as a follow-up. We are also doing live AMCs, and because Tim and I are doing this National Connect, we're going to talk about the in-person AMCs that are in our area. And so our area, the Sacramento Valley North Bay, will be doing one in Elk Grove, California, which is near Sacramento, on September 25th. And we just encourage those of you, Christy especially, okay, come and join us.
No pressure, Christy. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, Christy. So, but there are also, in addition to the 2 that Tim will talk about, there's going to be one next week in Wichita, Kansas. There's one in North Carolina, one in Maryland, 3 in Washington State, another one in Texas in the DFW area. And you can find all of those at events.awana.org. And so I'm gonna let Tim talk about his AMCs, and go for it, Tim.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So San Diego folks and Los Angeles folks, we've got 2 conferences available. So same day as Mike is doing, we're going to beat Mike. I'm just kidding. It's not a competition. Well, maybe a little bit of competition, but we are excited to be back in person. So September 25th, 8:30 to 3 at Shadow Mountain again. That's our church that we usually host it at. You'll notice cost says $35. Mike, I don't remember what Mike's cost was, but that is the price that if you pay it, it's on you, because we both have early bird prices that you should take advantage of. So if you end up paying that, you know what, that's your fault, because we don't want you to have to pay that much. We'd rather you register early to help us out for planning purposes. So mine is 2 weeks before the event. Mike, I don't know what yours is, but
it's 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. All right. So 2 weeks before, make sure you register before then. I also have student, I think Mike does as well. So anyway, and then for San Diego folks, if there's 70% or more of your churches, you got to contact me and I'll give you an additional code for even more off. So there's no reason to pay that amount, but once again, it's on you if you do. So that's the San Diego one. For my LA folks, we will be doing the LA one on October 9th in Santa Fe Springs. Same time, same cost. Again, you get that benefit if you do it 2 weeks early. So you shouldn't have to pay it. So events.awana.org, you'll see all of those there. In addition, like Mike said, all of the virtual AMCs are there as well. So you'll want to jump in there, take a look at those. Some of them you may need to scroll down to a little bit because we got a lot of events on there, but we'll just encourage you guys to take a look at that. So Mike, you got a little announcement for Awana Basics.
Yes, the new Awana Basics online is available. And has anybody had a chance to look at it yet? I know we've been promoting it from our social media and from missionaries and stuff. We would just encourage you to take a look at it. The Awana intro section is available to all churches, but once you get into the rest of the meat and potatoes of the Awana Basics, you do have to be a member church, so you have to register. If you haven't registered, we would encourage you to do that. And then your leaders need to be in My Awana. And at the awanabasics.awana.org, there is a couple tutorial videos on how to get your leaders into My Awana. And so that's an important part of being able to use the tool of Awana Basics. And the nice thing about Awana Basics is it has not only the text content, but there are videos, and the ones that I am very excited about is there is a walkthrough video for each of the different curriculum pieces. And so if you have a leader who they're getting a book, a small group guide for TNT, a week before club, they can at least go there and look at it and see what those tools are in that particular resource that they would be using. And so get on there. Those of you who are Awana ministry directors, there's just an outstanding Awana ministry director track available there too, talking about your culture that you're building in your ministry, and lots of tools, a budget calculator, and different things like that. So again, lots of great tools. It's built around the first Awana Director's Manual, and so it has the heart and people and tasks and so on that are a part of that particular manual. So, and we're going to be adding some demo videos in 2022, and so we're just hoping to continue to grow Awana Basics to be the resource that you as churches can use. And
awesome.
So Tim, you get to talk about Bright.
Yes, Bright. Has everybody heard of Bright? Some yes, some no. All right. So Bright Bright is the answer to the question that we've received for years. When is Awana going to start doing some Sunday school curriculum? Well, guess what? We've got it. So Bright was, once again, we're great at timing. We launched it right in the middle of COVID. So it is fantastic, though. The churches that did get it love it. And so quite honestly, what you see in Club is exactly what you get. Well, not exactly, but the same quality in Club is what you get with Bright. No uniforms, no awards, no books, but everything else, you're going to get this and go, well, yeah, that's Awana. So it is top notch. Right now, we primarily are focusing on the elementary age. So right now there's 2 years of elementary designed for kindergarten through 5th or 6th grade, depending upon how you do your stuff. Very adaptable. If you got 45 minutes, you can trim it down to 45 minutes. If you got an hour and a half, you can extend it to an hour and a half. Just a lot of different ways to use it. Really, really great material. So I think we got a video for this too. So let me play this video.
Okay, as ministry leaders, you see the rapidly changing culture we're living in. We've heard many of you asking, am I adequately preparing my kids to lead the church of 2050? This is a daunting and captivating question. And honestly, I've been wondering the same thing. There is reason for hope. Child discipleship works. And now, there's Bright. That's B-R-I-T-E.
Awesome.
Our team of discipleship thought leaders and practitioners carefully created these resources to fit your large group plus small group model or a Sunday school plus children's church model.
Cool.
And it's entirely digital.
What?
Yeah, you can download Bright onto your tablet, your smartphone, laptop, pager. Actually, you can't load it on a pager, but you can share the files with your leaders and volunteers, and you can print lessons for ease of use. Bright is built on the resilient child discipleship philosophy, which has found that kids who experience belonging, believing, and becoming have a more robust faith and tend to remain in their faith in Christ into adulthood. We designed the Bright experience around the child's unique faith journey with the goal of lifetime discipleship in Jesus. It's a community for those who believe that the most strategic and fruitful way to shape the future of the church is effective child discipleship. Bright curriculum is designed to do all this great stuff.
I'm in.
So, if you trust Awana and you're looking for a downloadable weekly curriculum based on research and 70 years of experience, you're going to want to check out Bright. I'm serious.
That's great.
It's biblically sound, packed with fun, and will set you up to win by equipping and inspiring your volunteers. Today's kids are the bright future of the church.
All right, before I go to the next slide, so a couple of things for you guys to know. We do plan to launch a preschool version of Bright. The intention was actually to do it this year, but we can blame everything on COVID. So we're gonna just say COVID did it. We unfortunately were not able to launch preschool this year. It is hopefully gonna happen next year. So we did launch a student version for junior high, high school, and it quite honestly did not sell well. So right now there's just the single year of student available. It's fantastic. You can get a full month sample. If you go to the website, you can see a full month sample. So whether or not you're the person that makes that decision, take a look at that stuff, share it with that person that does make that decision, encourage them to look at it. Once again, the churches that have used it are just, yeah, singing the praises. So it looks like it's going to be a solid thing moving forward. So I think you'll like it. Next slide talks about Bright Families. We'll blame COVID again. Bright Families was an answer to a lot of folks that were not meeting in person. And they said, but we still want to disciple our kids. What do we do? And so we actually took the Bright curriculum and we launched Bright Families to say, all right, families, here you go. Here's some tools that you can use. So, and it went so well that they said, hey, we got to develop this because there's families out there that are looking for this stuff. And so this is going to be further developed. We have a person now on staff that is going to be their total focus moving forward as Bright Families. So it's a subscription model, month to month. So it would be great for, once again, your families that are just looking for more, that want to disciple their kids. Maybe they don't know what to do though, and what they can use. And this would be a great answer to that. So once again, take a look at that. That's going to be a great resource for your families that are looking for stuff and what they can use to further disciple their kids. So, all right, this is still me, right, Mike? Yes, product guide is still me. Great product guide. Anybody excited about a new digital product guide? All right, you guys aren't so excited. That's all right. I wasn't either at the beginning. If you're like me, you loved your product guide that you got to hold, and you could pick through it and all that kind of good fun stuff. You know what? I got to be honest though, when I saw the new product guide, I was stoked. And you know what? If you've not seen it, I'm going to stop sharing, because here's the thing. I actually opened it up. I wasn't able to do this in person, Mike. I don't know if you did, but we can do it online. So I actually have the product guide, if I can find it. Of course, now watch. Oh no, there it is. So here's this product guide that, quite honestly, it's the coolest thing. So if you can get to this if you go to awana.org/catalogs. All right, you'll click on the product guide, and this thing's called a flip book, and it's the coolest thing ever. At least I think so. So you can basically get in here, and it's just like you're sitting with a catalog. You click the little forward button, and it turns the pages for you. And if you want to go and zoom in, you can go up here. And now watch this. Oh, I actually skipped the page I wanted to show you guys. So from here, not that one, this one. So here's your contents. If you click on the page, it'll take you right to it. So let's do TNT. It jumps you right to the page. All right. And then you can just flip the page. You get to see all the stuff. If you click an item like I just did, it takes you right to the store. So it's so cool. It's fun to play with. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at it. I think it's really cool. So and if you really need to, you can print it out. You can download it, print it out for yourself, and it'll still work. So that will be your option if you really have to have something in your hands. But obviously it's a lot of pages and a lot of ink. So think maybe before you do that, because I don't know if that's the best.
But you only have to print out the pages that you need.
This is true. That's I've not said that before. So yeah, you could just print the pages you want and have those. But honestly, it's so fun to play. So I would just use the flip book personally. So that's just my thing. A couple of things, and this is where I'm going to probably get myself in trouble, but that's okay. There are a couple items in there that say while supplies last. Okay. I tried to ask for further guidance, and there's still a few pieces that we're still not entirely clear, because usually what that means is those items are going away forever. However, this year, that's not necessarily the case. So one of the things in particular that we want to bring to your attention is the Tnt Emblems, the little chevrons. If you're familiar with the emblems and the badge magic, coolest stuff ever. If you've never tried the badge magic, oh my gosh, you've been missing out. You've been ironing and you've been sewing and you haven't needed to. But here's what we're going to do for you. When all of the current product is sold, we are going to actually provide it as a package deal. So once it's all gone, we're going to put it together. And when you buy your chevrons, you're going to get the badge magic in it. Yes, that is a huge blessing. I'm just telling you right now, you're going to love it. It's going to help your secretaries. Your secretaries are going to, and yeah, your secretary's going to love you. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be awesome. So couple other things from the catalog that I need to make you aware of. And this is where I'm really going to get in trouble, and I don't even care because I've been doing this in person. So I'm sharing this with you guys to let you guys know there are some products that are going to change mid-season. All right. And now all the missionaries are cringing right now. They're going, don't go there, but I'm going there. I don't care. So here's the thing. December 31st is going to be the last day that you can order the current year-end awards. Okay, now hear me clearly, the current year-end awards. So not the mid-season awards, not the wings and the chevrons and all that stuff's not changing, but all of your year-end book awards from Cubbies through Trek are going to change. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if you've got 3 Timothy awards and you think 8 Timothy recipients coming, you have to decide if you want to get 5 of the current Timothy awards so that this year you can give all of them and clear out so that next year you can purchase those, or you wait till January 1st and you buy the new ones and you just keep your 3 and I don't know, maybe you sell them to somebody else. But I just want you guys to be aware of that because that is coming January 1st. Because we have a digital catalog now, guess what? January 1st, you're going to get a new product guide and you're not even going to know it was changed unless you go to the awards, and then you're going to be like, oh, what happened? So now you don't have any excuses because I just told you those things are changing. So plan accordingly, do what you need to do with that, and that will yeah, I think ultimately, and by the way, we did see some of the samples of the Timothy and the Meritorious Awards, and they're gorgeous. They're really, really cool. Your kids are going to love them. So once again, if you've got some stock on hand, I'll let you guys make that decision of how you treat this year. But just so we're clear, January 1, all of the current awards will be on a ship to South Korea because the missionary in South Korea loves all of those awards and he's going to buy them all. So you will not be able to access them after January 1st. So be sure to, if you want to buy the old ones, buy them before January 1st. So, all right, Mike, I think I got myself in enough trouble. So I'm going to let you take the next slide.
Okay. Well, fortunately, it's an easy slide. How many of you have done Awana Go in the past? I mean, how many of you did it pre-COVID? How many? Just put that in the chat. We did Awana Go. Or if you say Awana Go question mark, that means you don't know anything about it. Okay. How many didn't do it during COVID though? And I think that was probably one of the hardest things that we experienced, as many of churches that had done Awana Go in the past did not do it. And but it is an awesome opportunity for your kids to think beyond themselves and to look at the world around them, and the opportunity to invest in leaders and kids around the world who are doing the same thing that they're doing. And so we just want to encourage you. There's a lot of great resources available for Awana Go. If you need help, Chris Dunrood would love to help you and encourage you as you work through doing either a versathon or a runathon around an Awana circle. Just some great ways to help your kids see beyond themselves and to be involved in missions around the world. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is Awana Plus. And Christy, you just teed that up perfectly and said that you used the videos for TNT last year. We also did in our club. And but again, this was a great resource either to be used in a large group situation, or if you were just individual leaders could use that for their small group as a teaching time and then work into their small group time. There's videos for Puggles, Cubby, Sparks, TNT, Trek and Journey. And the nice thing is we are now in the middle of crowdsourcing for this upcoming year. So for TNT, we'll be having videos for Evidence of Grace. For Trek will be His Love, I believe. And then Cubbies will be the Appleseed. The nice thing about Cubbies is it has not only the lesson video, but it also has the puppets video. And so just again, I was talking to a club that's starting in the UK, and they're like, oh, they really can't afford to buy the puppets, but they can now use the video to do the puppets part of their club. You'll also see on there that there's a get started guide, there's a back to club guide that we're going through, and then an at-home parent guide, and a bunch of other resources that are available, music resources, parent pages, and all the different tools that you need to be successful in your Awana Club ministry. And so we're gonna move into our next set of questions for our breakout rooms. And so again, this is just a reminder, hey, this is the year to make changes if you're going to, because you can just blame it on COVID if you need to, okay? And so have you set club goals and expectations for the coming year? And the other question is, do you have the needed leaders and supplies for the new club year? Do we have the spokesperson for room number 5?
That's us.
Yeah. Okay.
That's us. So we lost our Wisconsin couple, or they got put in another group. I'm not sure, but we had Washington, California, and Texas represented this time. And some of their goals are getting enough leaders, just having enough leaders so that they can have an Awana ministry. One of their goals is, whether it's not necessarily in our, it's not our, we don't get to make the decision, but it's still a goal that we can meet in person. So hopefully that will happen. Several of them said, thank you for all the videos. They're very, very helpful, and they will be using them even more this year. Probably the biggest goal is just finding the staff, because a lot of the churches, if they volunteer for Sunday, then they don't for midweek or vice versa. So just having enough people so you don't spread them too thin.
Okay, good. How about room number 6?
Well, we talked a lot about the need too for more volunteers, but a goal was to really engage the youth and the LIT, use that aspect of it. And so we talked about that a bit. And also some of the goals were to do more outreach. So Rich has 2 things planned, a food drive and something to go see the homeless. And he doesn't want the kids, and for the food drive to just bring the food, but to actually go and deliver it and help the people who are there to actually be exposed to see what the needs are and to serve in person. So we talked a lot about how outreach were also goals. And then as far as the resources go, people did feel that they, for the most part, had what they needed, but there were always needs to have more volunteers. That's what we talked a lot about.
Okay. I just want on the outreach part. My daughter goes to a fairly large church in Southern California, and like 20,000 people, multi-campus church. And they have made a decision as leadership that half of their people are not coming back. Wow. And that if they're going to grow, it's going to be by reaching new people. And I think that's just, for us all to kind of think that way, that if we're going to grow, we're going to reach new people. We're not going to try to convince people to come back. We're going to reach new people. And so how about room number 2?
The best one that Sandy said was make it through the year. That's her goal. So, more growth from last year. And Mike, I think you've hit on a really good point. We have some that aren't going to come back, but we've got to get out there and reach who's available, who's out there, who's ready. So some schools have already started, and so some are like, here we go. Volunteers, just like Carla said, volunteers. Supply. I just think the best one was make it through the year. And for those of you that are Sparks leaders, we're doing the Who Book 2 on Awana Plus.
Thank you for that. Okay, good. Okay, well, Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you because we want to make sure that we get people out.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna just real fast before I move on to my next slide. I can't help but to talk a little bit about goals. So a few years back, we did a goal thing in our Awana Connect. It wasn't called that at that point, but and we did a thing called BHAGs. If you've never heard of BHAGs, these are big, hairy, audacious God goals. All right. And so we challenged all of our churches and clubs to not think small, but think ridiculous. So just beyond surviving this year, maybe it's thriving this year, and putting it in God's hands and just going, you know what, God, we're a club of 25. We want to be a club of 100. And we have no idea how that's going to happen, but we're going to give it to you. And God, you're going to make this happen. And here's the cool thing about BHAGs. Let's say you only go from 25 to 50. That's still awesome. Yeah, you didn't go all the way to 50 or all the way to 100, but God blessed you and doubled your club. So I always get frustrated when we think too small and we think small because we're comfortable with that. And it's like, yeah, let's think big, beyond what we can do and let God take care of that. And I think that's so anyway, welcome back. You so belong here. This is, you're going to hear belong a lot. And this is the first of those 3 B's. This is our belong year, both in the AMC world, and quite honestly, throughout a lot of the stuff you're gonna hear from us. So this is you can't even tell what this is, but this is actually a really cool design that somebody created, and it's available. We're going to push you back to awanaplus.com. This is a free download. And it's all different sizes. So it's a big poster size. It's a tiny little size. So you can download this thing, send it to a printer, or if you got a printer in house, you can do it. Awesome. It's just a way to brighten up and colorize your campus before your kids come back, to welcome them back. So kind of a neat little piece. Once again, the best thing about Awana Plus, everything's free. So you don't have to pay for anything on there. It's all the free stuff that Awana has, which is really, really nice. So, okay, let's transition here for the next 7 or 8 minutes. I get to talk at you. So real fast, and somebody said this word and I can't remember who said it. I'm not even going to say the word because I don't like this word, if I'm honest. Okay. And here's why. When we ask someone to be this, okay, what does it tell them? And if we could, I'd open it up, but I want to get done. So, and I know you want to get done too. So what this says is, you know what, okay, I'll say the word. I don't like to say the word, but if you're a volunteer, you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're not all in. If something else comes along, you know what, I'm just a volunteer. So I'm out the door. It's a small thing, all right. There's other words though that we also use in Awana world, and this is where I stepped on some toes earlier this year, and that's okay. Listener, I don't want a listener in Awana. We want, and here's what we want. We want leaders. We want kids that have kids. We want adults, kids, I guess, student leaders, all right, that are all in, that understand our vision to raise resilient disciples. That takes a leader. That takes an adult that's going to be that loving, caring adult that's going to come alongside those kids and and this sounds really bad, but you'll know what I mean, that's going to own those kids. They're going to take them as their own, and truly care and love on those kids. So that's a small thing. It's just changing a word, but gosh, it's a powerful thing. When you can change that word, and express that vision, to your folks that you're trying to invite into your ministry, it's powerful. And so I'll just encourage you guys for that. So, all right. So let's talk about getting and retaining leaders for our ministries. Once again, if this was in person, we'd get some feedback, but the best way to get new leaders, this is by far, as I've talked to a lot of different churches, the best way to get new leaders is a personal invitation. Okay. Yes, you can ask your pastor to make that pulpit announcement. But if your church is like my church, when the pastor makes the pulpit announcement, everybody sitting in the congregation goes, "That's great for that guy," or "That's great for that lady." It's never great for this guy. And so everybody's pointing everywhere else but at themselves. And so they just assume that somebody else is going to do it. So I say that half jokingly, but honestly, the pulpit announcement, at least as far as in my experience, that's not been great. Okay. But when you can go to someone and with a personal invitation, that's powerful. We'll talk about that here in just a second. So, actually, I do want someone to share. I haven't let you guys, but somebody tell me, what does this invite say? You're gonna have to unmute yourself, but first one to unmute themselves. Tell me what this says to the person that you're inviting to your ministry.
We're desperate.
Thank you. Yes. All right. It's a desperate, please help us. And it just sounds, you're coming from a place that of, hey, fog this mirror. Yeah. Okay, good. You're good. Come on in. There's no vision in this ask. Okay. So check this out. Now read that one. All right. This is the same ask. All right. It's different. It uses different words. All right. But it's the same ask. We're asking them to be a part of our ministry. But that second one says, hey, this is big. All right. This is a big thing that we want you to consider. We want you to be a part of this bigger picture, this big vision. And we want you to consider this. All right. So here's the thing I'm gonna share. So 5 tips for recruiting leaders. All right. The Back to Club guide has 21. Okay. I grabbed 5. These are my 5 favorites. You may have other favorites, so I'll point you back to that Returning to Club guide because there's 21 in there. But here's the first one. Pray for God to lead you to the right people for your ministry. Okay. There's a book that we use in our missionary support raising world called The God Ask. And I'm going to suggest that you guys use this. You don't need to read the book. I'm going to tell you what the God Ask looks like. All right. You ask 3 questions. All right. The first question, you go to God and you ask, who should I go talk to? Okay. I need a Cubbies director. God, please tell me who I should go talk to about that. All right. As you're praying about it, hopefully God brings someone to mind, and you go, all right. And so you go to that person. The second ask is you asking that person, sharing the vision, casting that vision to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is the role that we're looking for. And here's the thing, I asked God and God said you. So the third ask is you asking them now to ask God if that's supposed to be the role that they're supposed to fill. Okay. Now you can't cheat. Don't cheat on this and just go to someone and say, hey, I prayed about it and God told me it was you. You've got to actually do the work. All right. That says you prayed about it and this person was brought to mind. And when you do that, man, that's a powerful ask. And that's an encouraging ask. That person all of a sudden is going, wow, This is that's a big ask. And now you want me to go talk to God about, okay, cool. It's not putting them on the spot, not telling them I need you to tell me now. You're telling them you go talk to God, and then I'm gonna get back in touch with you in a day or two. That's a cool way to do that, and a powerful ask. So number 2, host a return to Awana Day at your church. Ask your leaders to share the blessings they get from serving in the ministry. Couple that with number 3, promote Awana in front of the congregation by asking several kids to share what their experience in club means to them. Check this out. Watch this. You grab a cubby. A cubby goes up there, says a verse. Everybody goes, oh, that's the cutest thing ever. All right. Then you bring in one of your older kids, a 6th grader, 7th grader, somebody, a student that has been blessed by Awana. All right. And then you close the deal with another Awana leader that's just been blessed all over the place. Man, those 3 combined with a personal invitation, that's a cool thing. And God's going to bless that, I think. So number 3, consider inviting a variety of age groups, middle schoolers, high schoolers, parents, and grandparents to help in your club. Encourage your families and friends to serve together. We did this at our church. We had to bring a friend leader to club night. We do a lot of bring a friend to club night, but ask your leaders to bring a friend to club. They got to serve with adults. They might as well serve with people they like. So encourage your leaders to pull in a friend, to bring a friend night, and see what happens from there. So number 5 is tough. If someone declines, ask them to keep Awana in their prayers and encourage them to keep an open mind that God may move them in the direction of Awana at another time. So you got to be big enough when they go ask God and God says no, to say, all right, would you pray for us? Pray for the ministry. Create some roles that people that don't feel comfortable with kids, we all love kids. There are some people that are scared of kids. I don't get that, but there are those people out there. Create some roles that perhaps they don't have to engage with kids right away. Perhaps you need some security at your church. What guy doesn't want to be asked to be security, man? They're like, yeah, I'll do that. You bring them in, and now all of a sudden that security guy is, that little cubby's running up every week, hugging them on their leg. And all of a sudden they're going, maybe I want to be more than just security. And so you can get them in the door with some of those roles, perhaps that are less kid focused. But if you get them there, man, those kids they're gonna wear them down. I'm just gonna be honest. They're gonna start loving on them, and pretty soon they're gonna be full-fledged leaders. So last slide. 5 tips for retaining leaders. Way easier to keep a leader than find one, all right? Number 1, create a culture of prayer by praying together as a community of leaders for your ministry, the kids and families involved, Awana throughout the world, and one another. By the way, this is not 2 minutes before club starts. That desperate prayer, oh God, please help us tonight. We're down 4 leaders. This is a culture of prayer. This is creating an environment where maybe even on a different night, you gather your Awana leaders together and you're praying over your kids and you're praying over your club and you're praying over the entire ministry of Awana. That's powerful. There's power in that thing. So spend time. Yeah.
Tim, I have a club in my area that they did this. They weren't sure they were going to run Awana, and they just started praying. And then another club was doing Awana outside, and so they had made a decision to do Awana outside, and they thought, well, okay, we'll quit praying. But they had created this, like, for 6 months praying together, that the leaders now said, no, we need to get together. So they get on Zoom every Tuesday night and pray together.
Nice.
And God has done some miraculous things in their ministry this year. And I think it's because they've been praying as a group. And it was so cool is when we did our connection meeting and I said, it's time to pray. How many of you have been in it where you say, hey, it's time to pray, and you talk for 10 minutes and you never pray? They had their heads down and started praying immediately. So it was so cool.
Awesome. Powerful.